So maybe just to wrap up, it would be really great to hear from everyone. What's one thing, I guess, that you would like all of us to kind of take away, think about, do, as we respond to the things we thought about tonight in our own lives going forward? Anyone?
Go on. I'm going to say something really practical, because I think there's a lot of people who feel that the way that we currently think about same-sex orientation, same-sex relationships in the church, the way that we implement that with others doesn't really feel good, and that we don't really like the way that the church is doing it, but we've never really heard a solid biblical argument as to what's on the other side and why do other people believe so, and without putting the hashtag liberalism and secularism onto it. And so I would encourage people, if you want to be informed, read a solid, good biblical argument that supports same-sex marriage. I think that's important.
And let's keep doing things like this. In Saturday week, this coming Saturday week, so the 21st, we're having an Equal Voices National Symposium. And one of the talks, which might be interesting to you because of this conversation, Scott Higgins, who also taught at the wonderful Moore Theological College and is a Baptist, is going to be talking about evangelicalism and this issue. So, you know, what we've talked about as well, he's going to be giving a seminar. So that's just Saturday week. Let's keep having these sorts of conversations with each other, and the more we do, as Seth has said, and as long as we do it gently and with humility, we're going to learn from each other, and we're going to get through this, and do that in a way which honours Christ. We want to honour Christ.
The last part of the question that I got asked here was, how do you think our church cultural dialogue of marriage needs to change? I think that answering that question is a going forward question. I think that we need to, especially if you think that the only place for the expression of sexuality is within heterosexual marriage, I think we really need to change how we talk about marriage, and we need to go back to this idea. Someone over here mentioned the word of sacrament. We need to go back to this idea of marriage as a training ground for desire, for reordering your desire. So whether you're married or celibate in the Christian church, neither of them are actually permission to do whatever you want. They're actually both training grounds for understanding desire, for reordering your desire, for not going after whatever it is you desire sexually, but to say, I'm committed to this one person, or I have committed not to have sex. And to not kind of say that marriage is the be-all and the end-all, particularly if you think marriage is the only place for the expression of sexuality. And you need to be really serious about thinking, well, regardless of marriage, everybody needs to belong. Everybody needs to know that they're loved. Everybody needs to know that they're valued. Everybody needs family. How do I make church family? And you've got to be willing to do the hard work to create family, to create close friendship and connection, especially for people who are not married, because they don't need that any less than people who are married, for whatever reason they're not married. I don't know if that answers that question, but I think that, yeah, particularly if holding on to that conservative frame is important to you, I think that you also need to really ask yourself, what am I actually offering people for inclusion, for belonging, for family, for knowing they're valued? What have I given them instead? Because if you're just saying no, 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 and you're not giving someone a yes, if you're not giving them a positive way to be involved, to be included, to be loved, to experience intimacy, you're actually asking something impossible. And I don't think that really concludes anything, but I think that you have to be willing to think. You have to be willing to think through those things and go on that thought experiment and go where it takes you. You might not like where it takes you, but you've got to be willing to think those thoughts.
The most comforting thing for me through all of this has just been reminding myself daily that no matter what happens, Jesus is still on the throne. That the entire body of Christ are my brothers and sisters. Sometimes families don't get along as well as we would like to, but they're still family. That's how the body of Christ works. And actually, I saw something from a friend of mine who's a celibate, gay Christian, who's a spokesperson for through an apologetics organisation, and we disagree on a few things. And he posted something today which said, make sure you put at least as much energy into showing people that they're loved by God as you do into explaining how they are wrong. And I think that's a really great note to end on.
Thank you, Carl. Please, everyone, please give our panellists a round of applause and thank them for their time. Thank you so much again to everyone for coming here this evening and for being part of this conversation. I really hope it's been helpful, or at least you're going away tonight with a few things to think about and reflect on in your own life. A couple of things just to highlight. Again, as we said before, if you want to have a chat to any of the panellists afterwards, please do so. They'd love to talk to you more. Also, if again you're wanting to, if this conversation has brought up anything difficult for you and you want to actually talk to somebody, again, sort of Ali, or I'm sure probably some of the pastors who are on our panel as well would be more than happy to chat with you further. And a couple of little quick things. If you'd like to provide us with any feedback on tonight, we're really also open to hear what did you think of it, what could we have done differently, what was helpful, what will you take away from it. So if you'd like to do that, I think on the way out we have some feedback forms, probably at the registration desk. So if you want to give us any feedback, we'd really love to hear that, and also love to hear your thoughts on perhaps what would be a really constructive second conversation, or what would be a constructive next step. If you'd like to, please feel free to stay around, have a tea, coffee. If anyone would like to, I would like to go to the pub afterwards and have a drink. So if anyone would like to join us for a bit of dinner or anything at the pub just around the corner there, you're really welcome to do that as well. And perhaps what you might like to do as well, if you don't know many people here tonight, or if you sort of come, but there's lots of people sitting around you. Maybe you might actually just like to have a chat to someone near you and talk about what was something that you took away from this evening, what's something you're going to think about, or something that you're going to change as a result of some of the things we've been talking about tonight, and make a new friend. That would be lovely. So thank you so much.
And don't forget the National Symposium flyers just as you go out. So it's also got an agenda, what's on, so have a look at it and see if there's any of those that you're really interested in. Just one other plug, we have a transgender person and a person with intersex variations who will be speaking in a very powerful seminar. So we've talked a lot about gay and lesbian reality tonight, but there's the intersex and transgender as well. So a wonderful conference. I hope we can see many of you next Saturday week.
Thank you very much, everyone.